What's up, YouTube? For today's video, with a full Moxie ability Pokemon team. 6 years ago, I did this team, and I thought I could have a revamp. So I checked the Pokemon that I used in the original video, and I picked some different ones. Now, Moxie is a very, very good ability. Basically, when you faint a Pokemon, you get an attack rise by 1 stage. So it's very, very good for a late game or mid game sweeper, and a lot of these Pokemon were really good. So I thought I'd come up with some unique sets of them, and I had some great battles, and I really hope you enjoy. Let's get on to the first random battle here. This one is against If You Know, You Know, and this team was absolutely sweaty. So we have a Excadrill lead here, definitely not going to use Stealth Rock, and I've got my Mightyena set here. Now this is the best Mightyena set I love using, and it's really, really good when it works. So we've got a Swagger Mirror Herb set. So what we're going to do, we're going to go for Swagger, increase Excadrill's attack by 2 stages. Now it is a risky play, but Mightyena is going to also get a +2 in attack as well. So the idea here is to give Mightyena a +2, then go for Trailblaze to increase its speed, and then try and get a feint for an additional Moxie boost. So the extra actually hits itself for confusion, and I get Trailblaze. So now Mightyena has +2 and +1 in speed. I managed to get a second Trailblaze off here, and Excadrill is going to feint. So I essentially, after this Moxie, have +3 in attack and +2 in speed, which is crazy, right? Next Pokemon is going to be Kottmeistern. Now, Kottmeistern was very, very important for this team, and I thought I absolutely have to get rid of this Pokemon. So the Terra on this is Terra Fairy, which is very, very good on Mightyena. It's able to get around a lot of its common weaknesses, like, you know, fighting and bug and stuff like that. And Kottmeistern gets rolled out like a lounge room rug. So that is a ongoing sweep here for the Mightyena. So I've got +4 in attack, which is crazy. Next Pokemon, we got a Super Sus. There's a Fungus Among Us, you know. So they got that ability increasing their attack by 1 stage. So I know they are obviously weak to this. So I thought they either plan to go for a Terra that's defensive or an offensive one. Should I go for Throat Chop? Or they're just trying to get me to go for a not very effective move. I wasn't really sure, and at the moment I was in a very, very strong position. So I just went for the play rough here, because I figured I'd be able to live at least 1 attack from Brute Bonnet. So they've got a Terra Fire, which is a good defensive Terra on them, and I still did very, very impressive damage there. Now, instead of attacking me, they are going to go for Spore, putting my Mightyena to sleep, which is not the end of the world. I think, well, I might be able to wake up here. If I can wake up, 1 Throat Chop will easily take this out. So I'm sleeping at the moment on the first turn, which is cool. They're going to go for a Seed Bomb. Seed Bomb does a lot of damage, almost taking me out there. And I went for Throat Chop, but unfortunately, I did not wake up there. So a little bit unlucky, but, you know, I got the Swagger at the start, so I was very, very happy with Mightyena's performance there. So that's the Pip Night Special Mightyena set there that I made up. So, you know, if you like Mightyena or want to give it a shot, go for it. Next Pokemon we're going to bring in is Krookodile here. So this is a pretty fun set. Now, I tried to make these sets, obviously Moxie is very, very good, right? So I tried to make all these sets viable to get Moxie, but not like super overpowered, like, you know, a Choice Scarf Earthquake set or something like that. I wanted to make them sets that, you know, had a good chance of getting Moxie, but also had some sort of strategy to them, you know, aside from just all the usual standard sets you'll see. So I took out the Among Us there, which is good, and they've got the Venusaur. So Venusaur obviously is going to be a Chlorophyll set. Now, they have probably expected me to swap there, and they're going to get a Growth off. So Growth is going to increase their special attack by 2 stages, which is very, very strong. Now, it turned out the Kottmeistern actually had a Heat Rock on their team, so that Sun was going to last for 8 turns. However, I did have a pretty cool strategy here. On my Krookodile, I had a Hone Claws set with Power Trip, so every, you know, stat raise would increase it by 2, and I also had Substitute too. So Substitute was pretty cool because I could stall out the Sun. You know, Venusaur's really, really quick speed there. And I could also activate my Staffberry. So Staffberry randomly raises a stat by 2, and that's only gonna build into my power trip, base power there. So I actually got an attack rate, which is wild, and I still have a sub shit up as well. So everything was going really, really well, and I managed to stall at the sun too. So that was perfect. Venusaur has to swap out, and they had a Tropius. I was like, well, that's really cool. Like, hardly anyone brings a Tropius to the battle, so, props for that. So they got that Tropius, swapped into my Earthquake, which is a good play there. Now, I did think about going for Hone Claws here. I thought, well, I can only increase my base power, but I thought, gee, I better not do that because they may have Sunny Day, and then Venusaur might turn around and reverse sweep my team, right? So I took out the Tropius, and I got another Moxie boost here. So I'm completely stacked up at the moment. The last Pokemon apart from Venusaur on their team was a Venomoth. Now, Power Trip is easily going to be able to take that out. It has crazy amounts of base power now. No Focus Sash or anything like that, and Venomoth is going to faint easily there, and I think I'm at... Yeah, now I'm at maximum Moxie boost, or very, very close. Last Pokemon, of course, is going to be the Venusaur here, but it's funny, right, how much that Mightyena absolutely destroyed their team. Like, getting rid of Excadrill and Koraidon completely crippled this team. And, Krookodile sort of just cleaned up there at the end. So, hope you guys enjoyed this first battle. What a crazy battle. And that Mightyena was absolutely awesome. Let's get on to the next battle here. This is another random battle. Little Tonk is the opponent's name here. This battle is pure soul. Alright, if you guys enjoyed the videos, if you're hyped for the theme teams, you want to support my channel, hit that like button. Tell me what your favorite Moxie Pokemon is. I'd love to hear it in the comment section, or just drop me a comment below. Always love to hear you guys in the comment section. Alright, Mimikyu is the first lead. This is a very, very solid counter from Mightyena, so I thought I'll go for Swagger. Now, there's an interesting mechanic here as well with Disguise and Confusion. So clearly Mimikyu has Disguise, and say you go for an attacking move, you break the Disguise. However, if you do go for a move like Swagger, and Mimikyu hits itself for Confusion, it actually breaks the Disguise too, which is really cool. So I not only broke its ability, I was able to get a +2 to an attack on top of that too. I was like, this is great. I can go for a Throat Chop, or I could risk a Trailblaze. I was like, I'm going to go for Throat Chop here, and Mimikyu just gets completely dumpstered. So that's an instant +3 in attack again. So you can see how volatile this Mightyena set is, right? These Swagger Mirror Herb sets, a lot of them, I've come up with heaps of them. Like, this one's probably one of the better ones, but it obviously depends on a lot of Swagger working. So in comes Inferno. Obviously, they're going to go for a Mach Punch here. A monkey could know that. And I can go for a Terra Fairy. So I thought, if I play it smart, I can try and get a sweep here. So we know they're going to go for Mach Punch. Heck, even if they didn't, a fighting move, right? So if I go for Terra Fairy here, live the fighting move, then go for Trailblaze, that'll allow me to go for have a +1 in speed, and then I can attack it afterwards with Player Ups. So they went for the obvious Mach Punch there, and I've got a free Trailblaze up. So this is going to allow me to hopefully outspeed the Inferno, because Inferno's got some pretty dang good speed. So I've got Play Rough here. Now, the opponent sensing, I'm in a lot of trouble here, they swapped out. Now, they swapped in a Pokemon that is going to resist a Fairy move, which is Empoleon, but since Mightyena has just an absolutely huge amount of stats at the moment, look how much damage that does to Empoleon. It's crazy, right? Since I've got a +1 up in speed too, I can go for Throat Chop. Empoleon dumps it, and now I've got +4 in attack, and that is a salty, salty Rage Quit. They got completely and utterly outplayed there by the Mightyena set. Let's get a like on the video, people. Hope you're enjoying this video. Some of these Moxie sets that I come up with are really, really cool. I love Mirror Herb and Swagger. It's such a fun combination to use, because sometimes you get Pokemon like Mightyena which can't really boost its attacker, but you can go for that, and then if you get the Moxie afterwards, it's extremely potent. Next battle here, we got a random one. I'm not sure of the opponent's name here, but Mightyena is going to get completely dominated. So, of course, it doesn't work in every battle, and I wanted to show you that it doesn't work in every battle. So that is the end of Mightyena, but we got a Pit Knight Special Gyarados set here. Now, this Gyarados set was pretty funny right now. Obviously, anyone can run a Dragon Dance, Waterfall, Gyarados. So I wanted to try and make it a set that would still require some skill to pull off right. It would be difficult. Because if it was just a standard set, I could get 100 sweeps in a row with that. It wouldn't take any skill at all, right? So I thought up this fun set here, which I may have used in the past. It was a Flail Gyarados. So they're going to go for a couple of spatial rends there, which, of course, I totally never saw that one coming. Now I can go for a +1 Flail, and little homie Palkia is going to get dropped there, and I get a +1 in attack from the Moxie, which is great. The Terra on this is Terra Ground too. So, of course, in comes Kyurem. Now, I've got the option to go for Terra Ground here, but I thought, no, I'll go for Flail. It's more disrespectful, right? They just get dropped there, and the moment their second Pokemon fainted, they rage quitted. That's 2 back-to-back rage quits in a row. Let's get some soul here, people. Let's get some likes on the video, and we'll get on to battle number 4. Now, this is a really cool battle. I had some great... It's always fun when you get really, really great battles. This is a random battle too. This one is against Shandon, I think the trainer name was, and we've got a Glimmora lead. I've never seen one of them in my life before. So, of course, we're leading with Mightyena, and this Mightyena, I'm going to boost up its speed, right? So we've got some toxic spikes on the field, which, isn't all that good because none of my Pokemon can really, stop that or get around it. So it wasn't really an ideal matchup, I guess you could say. So I am poisoned. I thought, okay, I can try my luck at Swagger and then go for Throat Chop, I guess, because, Mightyena's attack isn't really all that great. Now, my EV spread for Mightyena is max attack and max speed, jolly nature. And if you want a full breakdown on this Mightyena and, of course, some of the other sets I use, I have done guides to them already there. But this is my Pipnite special set, and it's pretty damn good. So we've got the Glimmora going for Stealth Rock there. I've never seen that one in my life before. And they've got a Stealth Rock, and they've got Toxic Spikes on the field here. So a pretty standard lead here so far. The more interesting, exciting Pokemon were used afterwards. So now they're going to swap their Glimmora out. Obviously, they're worried that I might get a KO here with my attack stat. And they brought in a Alola Ninetales. Now, clearly they wanted to get the Veil up here. And I absolutely could not allow them to get that because obviously the weakness of this team too is I've only got physical attackers. And if I can't get Moxie up, it can be somewhat difficult. So I'm going to go for a Terra Fairy here on the Mighty, and I thought if I get rid of this Ninetales right now, I can get rid of that Veil ever going up, and that's going to make my life so much easier in this battle, right? So we're going to go for Play Rough, outspeeding the Ninetales thanks to the Trailblaze, and no easy Veil for them then. So what they wanted to do, they just wanted to set all the entry hazards up in the world and set a Veil up, and then send their Pokemon in there, but it didn't work out for them, which was great. And funny that, a Mightyena was able to achieve that. Next Pokemon we got is going to be Scrafty. This is pretty funny because I also had a Scrafty on my team too. So we've got Terra Poison here. I kind of guessed that because Terra Poison or Steel are very, very good. Especially Poison is very, very good on Scrafty. So Play Rough sadly misses there. I would have liked to get a bit of damage. That would have been nice. I could have even got a attack drop, but that's how it is. Poison Jab, that was going to take Mightyena out at full health there. But still a very good result. And I don't regret using my Terra there to get rid of Ninetales and its Veil, So they've now got Moxie. So I thought, all right, well, I've got to get rid of this. So going to my Krookodile here. Krookodile was the best option at the moment. It did have Stab, Ground, Earthquake. And it's probably one of the rare times you guys get to see me use a little bit more standardish sets. But I tried to put that Pipnite Flare on all these sets too to make it, challenging at least. So that is going to be the end of the Scrafty there. Insta +1 for Krookodile. So we got a Moxie, which is cool. The thing about this battle, which is interesting, is there was a lot of Moxie activations, which doesn't always happen that much because usually, when you get one, you get another one. It's a snowball effect, right? So in comes Rotom. You don't get to see Rotom used very often, and they're going to outspeed me there. So I thought, all right, you've got a Choice Scarf. That's bad because obviously on this turn, I tried to go for my substitute strategy, to get that Staff Berry, and then I could go for, get that Berry and then go for Power Trip on the next couple of Pokemon. Now I'm actually locked into Choice Scarf Substitute. So it's a complete and utter disaster. So as you can see, I'm locked in there. I have to swap out. So they were a little bit lucky that I was running a gimmicky set because I could have easily gone for a dart move straight away. But that's fine, that's fine. We're going to swap into Scrafty now. This is a bulky Scrafty set, a very, very tanky one. I'll explain that. Krookodile was just max attack and max speed jolly nature too. No real amazing EVs there. This Scrafty was max health and max special defense careful nature. And we've got Big Root as the item, Bulk Up, Drain Punch, Iron Head, and Amnesia. So just a really, really tanky Pokemon. So in comes Delphox, another Pokemon you don't get to see too often, and it's going to steal my Big Root. Damn, it's not very nice when your Big Root gets stolen. Now, I've got that special defense boost, which is really good. Amnesia gives a lot. And this can't really do much except for, Mystical Fire. And, in this case, Hex too. Hex is going to do nothing because even though they've got the poison and it's double base damage, I resist that. Plus, I've got an Amnesia up too. So, at the same time, I can't really do a lot too because Iron Head and Drain Punch are both resistant to Delphox. So, not really an ideal situation for, both Pokemon there. So, Delphox is going to be swapping out and Glimmora is going to be coming in. So, I thought, that's interesting. I guess they're trying to get their, second layer of Toxic Spikes on the field. And maybe they've got some other attack here, to use against me. So we got that second turn of the toxic debris on the field there. All I've got left now is to use Drain Punch. I thought Drain Punch, I was like, well, I've got Iron Head. That at least is super effective. We'll go for that. So it turns out they did have Venoshock, but man, look how well Scrafty lived that. I only had one Amnesia too, and I was on a really, really low amount of health. Like Scrafty's got some very, very great defensive stats. Like its special defense and defense are both like 115 base. It's very, very impressive. Now, I did have Terra Steel on that, but I couldn't Terra anyway. But that was more of a defensive one for anything like Toxic Spikes and Toxic and that sort of thing. So, bringing in Krookodile now, I've got a Choice Scarf Earthquake, which is definitely good, but there's that Rotom in play, right, with Levitate. So I thought, I reckon they're going to try and bring that in, or another Pokemon. So, their last Pokemon was Swampert. Now, I went for Power Trip here. I knew that Power Trip was going to do donkeys anyway, but I didn't want to lock myself into Earthquake because that would allow the opponent to have some form of setup. So I managed to get, 2 Power Trips off against the Swampert, and it was minimal damage, but that was okay. I did have a plan for Swampert anyway. Swampert is going to take out my Krookodile there, which is fine. It was a little bit difficult to run that set with a Choice Scarf and a Levitate Pokemon route. So, bringing in Quaquaval here. Once again, I was trying to make a different sort of set with, Quaquaval. Usually it's the typical, Aqua Step and Close Combat and stuff like that. So I thought, how about I make a Aqua Step and Last Resort set? That could be fun. Item is going to be Silk Scarf, and the Terra is going to be normal. And this actually cleaned up a lot of teams. It really did clean up a ton of teams. I'm not saying I had the greatest coverage in the world, but it did clean up quite a few. So that's going to be the end of the Swampert there. I got a nice juicy Moxie there, and I've got one more turn before Quaquaval is going to faint too, so I can get one more Last Resort off. But then in comes Glimmora, so I thought, yeah, that's fair enough. They really, really didn't want to lose their Rotom here, because Rotom was actually pretty good against my remaining Pokemon. So Glimmora is down, which is good. However, since I am poisoned previously, I'm going to faint this turn too, which, even if I wasn't poisoned, I could have, cleaned up the rest of their team there easy. So bye-bye Quaquaval, but you're still very, very useful, getting rid of that Swampert. That was an adamant Quaquaval. And we have max attack and max speed there, and only 2 moves. So bringing in Gyarados now, clearly I don't have anything to hit Rotom with, right? I can't hit it with Earthquake, and I can't use Flail on it. So I was like, well, I could use D-Dance here. Maybe let's see what they're going to do, because I had nothing for Rotom. Really, I wanted Rotom, to come out against my Gyarados. I wanted to see what they actually had in terms of moves, because I seen Trick, but that was about it. I had an idea though, if it's a standard sort of choice Scarf set, usually they typically run like Shadow Ball, Volt Switch, Thunderbolt, stuff like that. So, yeah, I'm completely walled here. So I can't do anything. I'm just going to go for Flail because, I'm completely walled here with Levitate and a Ghost type. And they're going to go for Volt Switch. I thought, good. But that's what I wanted because I wanted my last Pokemon to get a Moxie versus that Rotom. Because I had one more Pokemon left and Rotom's got a reasonable amount of bulk to it, actually. So in comes the Delphox, and my last Pokemon is going to be Salamence. Now, I didn't want to run too many Dragon Dance Pokemon on my team. It's too strong, right? So I thought, how about I run like a flinching Salamence set with Moxie with an Assault Vest? And it actually turned out really, really well. So Rock Slide is going to drop Delphox, which is excellent. And that's going to get one-shotted, which is really, really good there. And I got a Moxie. So this is where I wanted to be at versus the Rotom, because I knew I could take some of these attacks now. So I had a pretty risky moveset, to be honest. Dragon Rush misses. I'm like, no! And now we got the Rotom using Volt Switch. Assault Vest saves my backside, and Dragon Rush is going to take out the Rotom. What an amazing battle there. I hope you guys enjoyed this one. I told you I got some fire content for you today with this team. Thank you to a random opponent, Shandon, for the battle. Hope you enjoyed the Moxie team. And if you did battle me in one of these battles, let me know in the comment section. Always like to know. Next battle here, we got another random battle. This is a one against Cereal Milk. That's a pretty fire trainer name there. This battle was actually really interesting. So, as I explained before, I had a lot of, there were counters to this team. On paper, it appears as a very good team, but there were counters, especially Intimidate Pokemon. Now, since all my Pokemon were physical attackers too, that was a weakness if you came across any really strong defensive walls. So this Incineroar was not fun at all, and they had fairly good synergy on their team. They had this Toxicroak with Dry Skin too to come in against my Quaquaval. So it seemed like their team was quite based around this Incineroar with Intimidate, especially against my team. They probably knew what I was trying to do, right? So I managed to get a Last Resort off against the Toxicroak, which is really good. It wasn't quite enough to take it out, though. Very, very close. They've got Sucker Punch too, which didn't really surprise me. This Pokemon has a ton of priority, so I was just happy to let that one faint there. My next thought here was, do I go into my next Moxie Pokemon and try and set up, or are they gonna? I don't think they're gonna allow me to get a Moxie here, right? They're just gonna swap in Incineroar again and drop my attack. So I thought, do I go for Zen Headbutt or do I go for the Rock Slide for the incoming Incineroar? At this stage, it was pretty early in the battle, so I thought, look, if they do, it doesn't matter too much. I'll see what happens, right? So they swapped in Incineroar, which is kind of what I expected, but they definitely didn't expect Zen Headbutt. I think they were just trying to drop my attack and deny my Moxie. So we've got a lot of fake out Pokemon here on their team too. So that's going to flinch me. Now I can go for Rock Slide here. So I am at -1 in attack, but I thought that'll still do something, you know. And they've got Protect. So this is going to be one of the most annoying counters to this team. So I'd like to show you guys all the counters and things I come across, if they're interesting, right? So Salamence has to be swapped out. So I'm thinking to myself here, all right, they've got Incineroar. It's a very good counter to most of my team, right? But if they lose that Incineroar, it's going to be very, very hard for them. So virtually, I just got to wear it down. So I need to make them swap, and I need to diminish their remaining Pokemon. So they've got a, well, I don't know if I said a Young Goose there. And I thought, we'll go to Krookodile, and I'll set the sub up here. Now, Gumshoes is interesting because it can be a pretty hard hitter with moves like Facade and stuff. They seem to have opted for a Yawn set. So with Yawn, a lot of the time, or in singles, even in doubles, you see they have Protect as well. So I'm guessing they might have Protect on there, or it might be a strategy with Gumshoes' Stakeout ability. So Stakeout gets a boost from when the opponent swaps, right? So I thought there was some sort of strategy going on there. I've used every Pokemon. I pretty much know everything about them, right? So in comes Corviknight. Now, this Pokemon is actually a pretty good counter to my team. I have to be able to get some boost up against them. So I thought here, I might be able to get some Hone Claws and Power Trips up here. Now the Corviknight is going to set its own substitute up. So this is a little bit of a problem, but I can easily break it with Power Trip. You know, it's not going to be an issue at all. There were a couple of sets I was concerned about. Like, if it had an Iron Defense set and Roost, that's just an easy counter to my team. Like, I'd have to get a crit or something like that. So there were things like that. Then they used Spite. I was like, oh, well, that's pretty cool. So they had Spite, and they actually dropped 4 PP for my Power Trips. I only had 10 left. I thought, gee, this can't go on, right? I'm gonna have to get rid of this Corviknight soon, otherwise it's gonna get rid of the PP. And you don't want to get rid of your PP, right? So we're gonna go for Power Trip, and it took it out with a crit. Now, I don't know if that one actually mattered. It was gonna do a ton of damage, right? It really, really was. But they fainted, so I guess they were gonna go for Spite again. I guess they were going for that. So next Pokemon's Lugia. Such a strange bunch of Pokemon on their team. It was interesting though. And Power Trip, like, see how much that did to it. That definitely would have taken the Corviknight out. So Lugia almost gets one-shotted, and when I did see Lugia, I did think of Whirlwind as well, and that's going to Whirlwind me out there getting rid of my Moxie. But that's okay. Lugia only has a bit of health left. So I thought, all right, we'll go into Mightyena. Now, this is a pretty good opportunity to get a Moxie, but they know that I've got Moxie, right? So I thought, well, look, do I go for Swagger? Or, do I risk it? Does Lugia have Recover? Are they going to try and get around that? But then they went into Raikou. I'm like, oh. So I went for Throat Chop. It did all right damage. It's a Mightyena base attack. Doesn't really hit that hard. So I thought, well, I could go for Swagger here, or I could go for Trailblaze. I decided to go for Swagger, and then I outsped it. I'm like, how did I outspeed a Raikou? How did I do it? It's a very, very fast Pokemon. But my question was obviously quickly answered after I got my attack boost. I'm like, all right, I'm ready to go. I'm ready for this Incineroar. And we got the confusion going on Raikou too, which is good. It might hit itself with confusion. However, they got a Reflect up. I'm like, oh my goodness, this is such a specific counter now, like, to my physical attackers. Like, I couldn't believe it. So then they swapped the Raikou. I was like, yep, they're going to go back into Incineroar now. It makes sense, right? Because I've increased my attack. They're going to decrease it one stage with Incineroar, and they've got Reflect up too. So my Throat Chop, it was going to do donkeys, right? The only real power I had here was Play Rough. So I thought, do I just go for it now with Play Rough and get some damage, or do I mess around with, Swagger and try and drop their, health with some attack and stuff like that? But that could be risky too, because that could increase their attack. So Incineroar is, well, doing everything it can to annoy me at the moment. So I'm not gonna lie, and I'm going for Swagger. I'm trying, guys. I'm trying to get around this. So it was quite a good counter. So I thought, you know what? I have to go for Play Rough here. Let's just get some damage on this Pokemon. Their team is literally held together by tape. Once I get rid of this Incineroar, they're gonna be in a lot of trouble then, right? So we're going to go for that Terra Fairy here on the Incineroar. And I didn't expect a lot of damage here, of course. And I got about what I expected, So the good thing here is Incineroar did go for Flare Blitz. It wasn't good for my Mightyena, but it was good that the Incineroar lost some health there through Recall, which I guess, they did have Flare Blitz. It was, seemed like a standard Incineroar set. So Reflector's now gone, which is good. And I was like, all right, I've got Krookodile here. What can you possibly swap into now? You're going to have to take an Earthquake. So they swapped out the Incineroar, which I guess they would. So I thought, you're either going to go into Lugia or sack off Gumshoe. So they went to Lugia, and that's fair enough. So I thought, I wonder if this Lugia actually has Recover at all. I thought, maybe I should just go for a raw. I have to go for Raw Power Trip here. And Raw Power Trip did not take it. I was like, no. Now, it struck me sort of strange there that Lugia went for Rain Dance instead of Recover. I'm like, all right, they don't have Recover on their Lugia. This could be a great opportunity to get a substitute up, and then I could just go with Power Trip and Earthquake and finish off this battle, right? Unfortunately, Lugia did have Recover, so I don't know why they actually set the rain up there at this time. It's like, why did you not go for Recover first? Like, it didn't make sense. It's like, all right, well, I guess I can still take the Lugia out, hopefully. So I'm going for a Power Trip here. But, as you can see, Power Trip relies on a lot of boost. And Lugia can just Whirlwind again. So that's why I didn't go for Hone Claws. So it was a bit of a disaster. But it still wasn't over. It definitely still wasn't over. So I got my Pokemon swapping, which is Salamence. Now this Salamence, I don't think I actually mentioned that, was Terra Steel too. So I had Rock Slide, which is good. That's going to do great damage to pretty much everyone. And Rock Slide almost was enough to take out Lugia. I actually managed to get a flinch there. So I'm sure they were going to go for Recover again and try and stall. So what they have? Recover, Rain Dance, and Whirlwind. Right? They must have had some sort of attacking move there. Maybe they had like Weather Ball or something, or Psychic. Next Pokemon is Toxicroak. The only thing I could really think of with the Toxicroak was Dry Skin. I was like, surely they've got something else with Rain. But then I was like, oh, Raikou might have Thunder, you know. That's about all I could think of at the moment with, you know, Rain supporting their team and stuff like that. So denying my Moxie again, which is fair enough. Incineroar's going to come in. But now they'd lost Lugia. So Lugia and Corviknight was sort of like their tanks, right? So once I got rid of them and this Incineroar constantly swapping in all the time, I felt quite confident I could get rid of the other Pokemon, right? Even with, like, I don't know, even with one of my more gimmicky Moxie sets. So swapping in Gyarados here, I thought, well, Gyarados has got Earthquake. This will draw out the Raikou, and I know that Raikou isn't fast, right? Because remember how Mightyena outsped it? So I thought, well, Earthquake's going to take out the Raikou too. That's going to be great. So Incineroar finally goes down. Gyarados gets a fat Moxie, which is excellent stuff there. Next Pokemon, of course, is Raikou. I know they're going to go for an electric move. And I thought, well, maybe I could get a weakness policy because my item is weakness policy. But then I thought, wait, they'll probably go for Reflect instead of like electric move. So that could be bad. So I just fainted them there. I learned my lesson from the Lugia, you know. So we got another Moxie there on Gyarados. And now we're rolling here. Now we got the Gumshoes coming in there. Now Gumshoes actually lived, which didn't surprise me at all. It's got a pretty good amount of health stat, and, you know, it wasn't stab on Gyarados either. So I swapped the Gyarados out there. I figured, well, they're going to go for an attacking move on Stakeout. But instead of going for an attacking move, they went for Protect. So that surprised me a little bit. I thought they may go for an attacking move with Stakeout, but they didn't. So we had 3 minutes left here. I thought, well, I've got Drain Punch, I've got Iron Head. That's enough coverage to take out both of these Pokemon. And I figured they'd probably expect me to go for a Flying type move there. So Toxicroak's going to come in. I went for Iron Head, and Toxicroak is going to go down the crit. I don't know if that one truly mattered, though. But Scrafty is going to get a Moxie there, too. The last Pokemon, of course, is the Gumshoes, and I can just outspeed that with Drain Punch and Fainters, and they cancel the battle there. So an interesting battle there that Incineroar caused me a lot of problems for a long time. Hope you guys enjoyed that one. It was a bit of a spin on the other battles that I did. Something a little bit different, right? Next random battle here. This one is against Red, and we have a Spidops lead. Now, Spidops obviously was going to use Sticky Web, so I thought I'll try and flinch them so they can't get the Sticky Web up, but they did. Not that that was like game changing or anything like that, because I had a couple of flying Pokemon and ways to boost my speed, but it was just a bit annoying. So I managed to get a crit there, which totally matters. So that's the end of Spidops, and that's a free Moxie. So I thought, you know, worst case scenario, I would get a +1. Next Pokemon's going to be Iron Treads. Now, I really did think about going for Terra Steel here. I thought if I go for Terra Steel, I can resist its Steel type move, which I'm sure that it has. And I can go for something. Then I was like, well, I've got nothing to really hit it with. And it's got pretty good base defense here. Could I be wasting my Terra? So I thought I'll just go for Dragon Rush. Iron Head, they get a very lucky crit there. Thank goodness it wasn't a flinch. And as you can see, Dragon Rush does nothing. So I was probably right there to not go for, not go for Terra there. And I tried to put fun moves on my Salamence too that all flinch. Like, I could have had much better moves on there that could have beaten the Iron Treads. But, that was not the point. So bringing in Mightyena now, I thought, I'll give this a roll. They'll go for the Swagger strat. I bet you they'll underestimate it. And they did. They set up Stealth Rock. So they're completely and utterly underestimating Mightyena, right? So I'm going to go for Swagger. Now, this was a risky play too. Was giving this thing attack because it's got a pretty good attack stat. And now it's going to have a highly speedy, spammable Iron Head. And I absolutely have to get rid of it, right? So I got +2, which is good. So I thought if I go for Trailblaze here or Throat Chop, I can get rid of it. So Iron Treads hits itself for confusion, which is excellent. Does a good amount of damage there too. And with Throat Chop, that's enough to take it out. So that was excellent. So that was good. So I bet you they were surprised by that. I reckon I took them straight by surprise there. That's another Moxie too. Next Pokemon is going to be Magnezone. So I thought, oh, this is bad. I do have Throat Chop though. So I thought Throat Chop would do really good damage. I may as well go for that, right? So Throat Chop does tons, and Magnezone is going to have a red card as the item. So obviously that works in tandem with Spidops' Sticky Web there, and Stealth Rock, you know, pretty sort of, easy to get stuff there. And Quaquaval got brought in. I thought, oh, damn, that sucks, because, you know, they're probably going to go for either a Steel-type move or an Electric-type move. I was hoping they went for a Steel-type move, and they did. So Flash Cannon is at least going to be resisted. So Magnezone isn't the fastest Pokemon out there, and I actually managed to outspeed and take it out with Aqua Step, which is excellent because that means I sort of made up for that speed drop I had from the Sticky Web, and I got another Moxie too. So every Pokemon has got a Moxie so far. So in comes Zapdos. Now, this was a difficult counter. So Zapdos is going to go for Discharge and take me out there. So, obviously if Quaquaval didn't have that web, I wouldn't have had any problems. Now, this was a very, very unlucky part of the battle for me because Gyarados was a great, a pretty good for this with Flail. So I thought if I can get Endure and Weakness Policy, I can then go for Flail. So I thought I'll go for that because I'm going to outspeed them. I'm not going to be affected by the Sticky Web, but they went for Hurricane. So I was like, okay, that's bit of a strange play there to go for that, and it missed. So I thought, all right, well, maybe they'll have a go at using an electric type move now. So I'll go for Terra Ground, and I'll be able to at least get a Dragon Dance up there. And, I know Zapdos very well. I know all the moves it'll learn. So they went for Discharge, and that didn't affect me. So I don't know why. I guess it's probably a good thing that I went for Dragon Dance, that turn, because they actually did outspeed me. So Gyarados now has +1 in attack and speed, but I can't do anything to them. I can only use Flail, so I thought, well, should I go for another Dragon Dance in hopes that they'll put me on a low amount of health with Hurricane? That was really all I could, hit me with at the moment, unless they had like a Heat Wave or something bad like that. So they're going to keep going for Hurricane here, and every time that worked, like Endure was not going to work either if it missed. So I was hoping, maybe I'll just go for Flail now, I was in a bit of a rock and a hard place. So Hurricane kept annoyingly missing here, and I just kept going for... if it was any other Gyarados set, I would have already fainted this Zapdos a long time ago, obviously. But we tried to win with memes here. So Hurricane is going to hit me pretty hard. Gyarados has got some nice special defense, so I knew it'd be able to take that really well. So I went for Flail, and of course Zapdos luckily lives on 1 health. And not only does it live on 1 health, it gets a static too. So they completely lucked out there. That matchup there was just like a complete luck out for them. Absolutely incredible. So that is the end of Gyarados there. I think I would have gone on to sweep the rest of their team. No sweat at all. Next Pokemon is Scrafty. Now, I know they've got Hurricane, but I thought if I can lift the Hurricane, I can take them out here. Since I wasn't running, Sucker Punch or anything like that on Mightyena, I couldn't just come in and revenge sweep it. Plus, it might have Roost as well. I wasn't 100% sure. Zapdos can run Roost a lot in singles. Anyway, interesting enough, they went for I guess they didn't want to miss Hurricane because they missed it 100 times in a row before. So Zapdos is going to faint there and give me a Moxie. That's not too bad, but then they've got Jirachi. So I thought, all right, well, Jirachi is going to be a big problem here, but I do have my Krookodile in the back here, right? So Krookodile will be able to, hand that easy. So Play Rough actually missed, which was really cool, but I got paralyzed in the same turn. So I guess like nothing happened there. So Scrafty is going to faint to a Fairy type move. That doesn't surprise anyone at all. So, obviously Gyarados' Earthquake would have taken that Jirachi out easy too if it was still alive. So we're going to go into the Sticky Web here, which is fine. I've got Earthquake here. I know that I can leave anything Jirachi pretty much throws at me because the Krookodile... Now, Krookodile's defense is okay, right? So we've got a Timmy-Terra Jirachi here, and I know that it's going to spam Iron Head. So I thought, all right, Hopefully I can get the Earthquake off here and just get rid of this Jirachi. And their last Pokemon I should be able to deal with, no worries at all, right? But they got a lucky flinch there, and the remainder of my team would have lost to that. So just luck was with them the entire battle there. Unfortunately, they got rewarded there the whole battle. Let's get on to the next battle. This one is against Philippau. I don't know how to say that. And we've got a Indeedee lead here with Psychic Surge. If you're enjoying the battle and the video so far, don't forget, drop me a like there on the video. If you do those things, people, drop a comment. It makes my videos appear in your subscriptions and recommended and all that 100, hoop jumping from YouTube. All right, so we've got a Hone Claws here, and we're going to be setting it up. Now, my opponent is going to be setting up a Trick Room here. So I thought, all right. I mean, it's not a great matchup for them. I guess they're going to be swapping. So they swapped out there. They set the Psychic Terrain up, and they've got the Trick Room going. Then they went into Glimmora. So I thought, all right, well, Glimmora, I guess, is setting up entry hazards here. I went for sub there anyway. So I thought, well, maybe Indeedee has Dazzling Gleam, and I could get a berry from that. Or, at minimum, I could go for sub and stall out the remaining, 4 turns of Trick Room. So they set their stuff up there, and I went for Earthquake. So Glimmora, drop. So like, all right, no Sash. That's interesting. I guess they figured they'd get their Toxic Spikes up there, and I had the feeling they were going to try and reverse sweep me, right? That was what I was thinking. They had some pretty strong Pokemon in the back. And you'll see something pretty interesting here you probably will never see again, too. Next Pokemon is going to be Grimmsnarl, and they're going to use Reflect. So I'm like, oh, that's going to make things rough. I do need to increase my attack a bit more, and I can too, but Earthquake does really, really good damage, so I was happy with that. Now, Grimmsnarl's going to get I guess they're going to go for a Light Screen there to get that. Not that that really matters against a Moxie team, but, to be fair to my opponent, they didn't really know all my sets yet of my other Pokemon. So, Grimmsnarl is going to faint there. So, Grimmsnarl and Glimmora were pretty much useless there. I wasn't really worried about them at all. Then in comes Cresselia, so I thought, oh, this could be a big problem if it gets Calm Minds up. They could, definitely reverse sweep my team. If they, maybe they've got a Terra there, like Terra or Electric, that could be difficult with, with Levitate. I'm cooked. So that's what I was thinking they were going to do. So I thought, all right, I must get Hone Claws up here. I have to win with Power Trip. That's the only way I can beat this Cresselia. But they didn't Terra. They actually went for Moonblast, breaking my substitute. Now, all in all, after that Trick Room went through, that was 5 turns, right? That had worn off, and I was waiting for a Reflect to go, but I thought, gee, I may not. If I get critted, this could be bad. I could sub down further. I thought, nah, I'm gonna go for a Terra now, and go for Terra Dark. I know that there's a Reflect up on there, a Reflect on a Cresselia is like insane bulk, so I thought, I want to try this out because Power Trip is absolutely insanely, it's an insane move, right? So I went for Power Trip. Cresselia had a Reflect up, and I one-shot a Cresselia with a Reflect up. That's insane. So Cresselia goes down like a bag of potatoes, and I get another +1 in an attack. So now they're in a lot of trouble. They're in a lot of trouble. So in comes Indeedee. Now, that isn't really a worry to me at all, unless they've got Sash or something, so I can freely go for Power Trip here and just continually bolster my attack, and the power of Power Trip too. So that crit absolutely didn't matter at all. So that is the end of Indeedee. So I thought, here we go. We've got a Krookodile sweep. There's another Moxie. There's 2 Pokemon in the back. Next Pokemon is going to be Ursaluna. Now, since they've got Psychic Terrain, that's actually blocked their ability to go for Vacuum Wave if they do have it. And Power Trip is going to easily take out Ursaluna as well. So we've got a juicy little sweep here. And I don't think they expected me to faint them with, through a Reflect. Last Pokemon is Spectria. Spectria is a really good Pokemon, even though it's not Calyrex. It still is a very, very good, fast, speedy special attacker and sweeper. And this is the Pokemon I thought they'd try and bring in and reverse sweep me. So they're going to go for Terra Ghost here. And they are going to be able to outspeed me, obviously. And they've got Shadow Ball. So Shadow Ball, of course, is going to hit really hard. But Krookodile, it's not very effective. So I'm going to be able to live that, pretty well. And they even had Life Orb too. So I know they don't have a Sash, and Power Trip is going to be able to take them out. And that is a complete Krookodile sweep there. Of course, I did have a very good type advantage there, but I definitely feel they didn't expect me to take the Krookodile out there. I'm not sure if they had Terra Electric, but man, I would have. Maybe I could have got around it anyway. You know, even if it wasn't super effective. Like Power Trip is such a good move, right? When it's boosted up. Last battle here we got today. Hope you're enjoying the video so far. This one is against Domi. We have a Archaludin, let me read that again. Bridgedurin or something like that. Duraludin. I get it. It's like Bridge and Duraludin together. I see. Now, this time I actually led with a Mightyena, which, to be fair, I did that in quite a few battles because typically you'd sort of get, sometimes you get support Pokemon at the start, or you get people who thought, oh, I'll just get, an easy turn one of Stealth Rock up, and then it could really backfire on them. That's generally how I played it. Sometimes it was a good mid to late game sweeper too. Better mid because by then it got a lot of boost up. So I'm going for some throat drops here, and I'm getting pretty good damage, but this thing does have stamina, so it is kind of countering me a bit. Now they're going to have Electroshock, and interesting enough, that one wasn't a Power Herb set. It was just, it didn't have that item. It had Shell Bell and Step, which was interesting. And I don't know how I possibly lived that. I guess I think I got minimum damage from Electroshock. Like, it must have been like a really, really low roll or something like that. So they are confused, and you don't know the amount of people that set Stealth Rock up against Mightyena. And a lot of them, they regretted that, So I've got Throat Chop. I thought, gee, I'd love to have a speed boost here. That'd be really good. Do I go for the Trailblaze and hope that they hit themselves? So like, you know what? Let's go for it, May as well try and do it. So Mightyena does have Trailblaze, and that's a great way of boosting its speed. Now, I know that it does get Sucker Punch, but Sucker Punch is very, very predictable on slower Pokemon. And I like with Trailblaze, you don't have to keep relying on just spamming Sucker Punch. It's too easy to get around. So this is sort of my, my fix to that. It is a little bit hard to pull off, but if you can pull it off, it gets very, very good results. So that's the end of Archaludin. In comes Backle. I don't. This must be another language. I'd say this is another language because they sort of sound similar. This is a Body Slam set, and that is going to take out my Mightyena. So I thought, all right, interesting. I can go into I thought, well, Scrafty could be a good idea. Maybe I could go Terra Steel and try and boost it up, Amnesias and bulk ups and that kind of thing. That could be a great idea, That could be really, really good. I've got bulk up option, and I've even got Iron Head too, which is going to be good. This Pokemon has some really nice base defense. And I thought, well, I may as well give it a shot, right? If I could get enough Amnesias against it, that will be very good against any of those like more powerful special attackers. And bulk up will just increase my attack and defense, and Drain Punch for sustain. Right, I'll just keep getting my health back. It'll be really, really good. Another good Terra for this set too would be I've got one that's Terra Steel and Terra Poison. I'd say Terra Poison is a bit better for typing there, because with Terra Poison, you're still not weak to resist the fighting. As well, so I think that's would be quite better than this one, and I guess it's got less weaknesses, ground and psychic. That's about it for poison. I just wanted to go with a Terra Steel one. It had it already. I thought I'll try and get that, that Terra Steel Iron Heads stab going. So they didn't really have a lot to do here. I know its moveset very well, all of its moves. I know every Pokemon's moveset, but I was like, the best you can really do there is like Fire Fang. That's gonna be about it, and it might burn me. That could be bad, but outside of that, I wasn't really worried. Maybe a stray Body Press. That's about it. One of those two moves would be a problem, but they seem to not have that. It seems to be just like a paralyzing Body Slam set. So eventually, I was like, well, that's enough boost. Let's go for Iron Head and finish off the bagel, right, or the bread. So that's 2 down. So not a bad start to the battle, and I got a Moxie too. So that's good. That's going to be very nice. Unfortunately here, I did contemplate actually not going for Terra Steel earlier on because I knew this was in their party, but I was like, I want to see how it goes, with my Amnesia up. And I lived that was impressive how well I lived that Fiery Dance, right? Now, I was hoping for a wee bit more damage from Drain Punch, but that resist sort of messed me up a bit. I was hoping for a 2-hit KO, and I almost got it. I was very, very close, because I knew I'd be able to live one, and then a second one, if they didn't get another Fiery Dance thing. But then Drain Punch missed, so they actually had a Bright Powder on their Iron Moth. I was like, what the heck? And this is bad, because I've got, like, what, +3 in special attack, and I had Bright Powder too. So I'm like, okay, I'll give them props for that. So we're going to go into Gyarados here, and Gyarados has got Earthquake, which is going to be a great move for this Pokemon. The Gyarados EVs, I didn't say that. Not that you'll probably want to run a Flower on Earthquake Gyarados, but this one was Jolly Nature. Even with Jolly Gyarados isn't really an overly fast Pokemon, you know. Typically relies on Dragon Dance. So we got a, you wouldn't read about it, we got a Gyarados versus a Gyarados, both shinies. Which one's going to win? Now this was really interesting. Watch this, right? So I thought, well, maybe they'll go for Dragon Dance here. I mean, I can't do anything to them. Earthquake won't do donkeys because, you know, flying type. And I'm going to try and boost that flail damage. So I need them to hit me. So they went for an Ice Fang. Didn't really do a lot of damage, but it froze me. I'm like, oh no. So now it's just a big, giant, frozen red prawn floating in there. I was like, what is going on here? So now they're going to go for, this is like a Pimp Night special, like freeze the opponent, then go for Dank Pulse. I don't know, they must have watched a couple of Pimp Night videos in their time. So they're going for Dank Pulse over and over. My prawn is frozen. It's not something you really want in real life. And they just keep pounding me with, you know, Dark Pulse over Dark Pulse. So I went for Flail again. But it thawed out. I was really lucky, and I managed to get a really powerful flail off there, and I took out the Gyarados. I was like, what the heck is going on? So I got a Moxie. Like, this thing was juiced now. This big red prawn was juiced. In comes Flutter Mane. Oh goodness, it's got wings. You can't blame me. And that's gonna take out the Gyarados there with our first impressions. So I thought, all right, well, I've got Salamence. I've got Zen Headbutt. That should be enough to take it out. What's this, Creature Flugel? Did I get that right? That pronunciation? Zen Headbutt hits really hard. They had Rocky Helmet, and guess what? I got a flinch to them. The moment, right, I went for Iron Head and fainted them. Like, the moment that Pokemon fainted, they actually, like, rage quit it and salty canceled it. It must have been, like, after the Gyarados incident, you know? Like, I was like, what is going on, right? So they had their Hydrapple as their last Pokemon, because I knew they rage quitted here, right? And I just went for Dragon Rush. And I don't know what they were expecting, because obviously I was going to be able to take that out, but I'm not sure. I guess it was little Timmy's bedtime. That is going to be that off the end of the battle. Hope you guys enjoyed that one. I'll catch you next time. Peace.